people are not impressed with the addition of Jack Cohn. That's generally, again, what I get across the board. I watch him play a lot of football at Wisconsin. Is he Ian Book without the mobility to that extent? He had a 19-5 TD to pick ratio and leading Wisconsin to a Rose Bowl 70% completion percentage. And will there be a true quarterback battle in fall camp?
Well, I'll go with the quarterback battle. Will there be a battle? Yeah, I think there will be, because Drew Pine and Tyler Buckner are really talented young players, and I think that they've earned the right to at least be in the conversation to compete with Jack Cohn. Do I think there's going to be a battle in that they're seriously going to challenge Jack Cohn for the starting job? No, I don't. I'm a lot higher on Jack Cohn than most people are. And, I'll be honest with you, Mark, when I first heard that Notre Dame was looking at Jack Cohn, I was a little bit like, really? Because I had the same thought you did. I watched him in Wisconsin. It was kind of a dull offense. They didn't ask him to make a ton of plays, just handed it off to Jonathan Taylor a lot. But then I dive into the All-22 film, and I'm seeing a kid that's throwing the ball with tremendous anticipation, tremendous ball placement, a kid that's got some guts. He's going to fit the ball into some tight windows, something we haven't seen from Notre Dame's quarterback in several seasons, even before Ian Book. He's a guy that understands where the ball has to go. There's some parts of his game he has to clean up. I think sometimes in that attempt to make a play, he holds onto the ball too long, will get hit from the backside and lose the ball. I want to see that cleaned up. But this is a guy that, in my opinion, has an opportunity to take Notre Dame's pass game to a whole new level. And what a lot of people don't realize about Notre Dame's offense the last really 2 years, especially in 19 and 20, is, there were so many opportunities for Notre Dame to be better and more effective and more explosive in the pass game, but Ian Book was just not a guy that was comfortable going past read 1 and 2. And he wasn't a guy that was comfortable really attacking teams down the field. When he did, the offense was pretty good. We saw that in the first half against Clemson last year. We saw that in the first half against Florida State last year. More often than not, he wasn't willing to do that. And, I could go back to the Clemson game in 2018 when it's a 0-0 ball game. Chase Claypool beats a guy on a post, or excuse me, Miles Boykin beats a guy on a post route. Same throw that Ian Book made to win the game against Pitt, and instead of climbing the pocket, letting it go, and maybe it's 1st and goal, or maybe it's 7-0, he tries to tuck it and run, gets stripped, fumbles. Clemson picks it up, goes down on that next series, kicks field goal. So, you're talking about a 10-point swing and a momentum swing. And we saw that throughout his career, just that unwillingness to take those shots. And Jack Cohn is not unwilling to take those shots. And he was an effective deep ball thrower. So I think he's going to be successful. I just have a hard time fathoming how he went 10-2 in the regular season at Wisconsin against a relatively challenging schedule. Played Ohio State that year, played a really good Minnesota team on the road that year. I'm talking about regular season. But then you talk about 3 of the 4 losses were 2 to the number 3 team in the country in Ohio State, and then they lost by a point in the Rose Bowl to Oregon, who had that guy, Justin Herbert, pretty decent player. Yet he's going to come to Notre Dame, where Wisconsin's the toughest team on their schedule, and they're going to go 8-4 or 9-3. I don't understand this. I think what's happening is there's still this view of Notre Dame that they are the Notre Dame of pre-2017. Brian Kelly has shown that they can reload. We talk about the offensive line and so, how are they going to do offensive line? Well, the year after they lost Quentin Nelson, Mike McGlinchey, and then Alex Bars gets hurt in the 5th game of the year, Notre Dame went 12-0. Right? So we've seen them do this before. They lost 2 starting defensive ends to the NFL draft. They lost Jerry Tillery after 2018, and yet this past year the defensive line went out and just reloaded with 2 new starters at end that then went and got drafted. Notre Dame has recruited and developed to the point now where I believe they're in reload mode. A lot of people don't think that. I also think that a lot of people think Ian Book had a lot more to do with their success than I think Ian Book had to do with their success. And I don't think people are talking enough about Marcus Freeman and the impact I think he's going to make as the defensive coordinator. I think that's another thing. There's just a lot of things that I think people are going to realize, we probably should have paid more attention to that instead of just assuming that Notre Dame was going to go back to what they were before 2017.